What's going on, YouTube? Today I bring you my 5th official NFL mock draft for the 2021 NFL Draft. Let's hop straight in. First pick, it's been the same pick for a while. It's going to remain the same pick. Say this every week. It's Trevor Lawrence. The dude just has tremendous upside, very, very little issues to pick about him. Just the all-around generational prospect. This is the best guy we've seen since, Andrew Luck. And really can make an argument that he's the best guy we've seen since Peyton Manning. So, this guy, he's supposed to be this franchise savior, and Jaguars were lucky to get the number 1 pick. So then the Jets. For a while, I had Penei Sewell here, but just especially with the new head coaching change and that that Sam Darnold just hasn't worked out. It's really down to Zach Wilson or Justin Fields for me. I know people aren't very high on Justin Fields right now. Yes, he has a lot of issues. And, a lot of stuff he needs to work out. I still think he's a great quarterback. I think he's a guy that if you take a little bit time to develop, though, then he'll be that fantastic quarterback. And the Jets can't wait for someone to develop right now. And they don't really have a veteran quarterback to, develop him, which is why I think Zach Wilson is the smarter pick. I think he's more NFL ready than Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields has a way higher floor, maybe the highest floor in the entire draft out of all the quarterbacks. Realistically, there is a world where I see Justin Fields being a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence. I don't think he will be, but he realistically could. But Zach Wilson, man, the dude exploded this year. He has just such a great arm. The dude, he's athletic. He senses the pocket so well. There's just so many good traits about him. And again, I think he's much more NFL ready than Justin Fields is. Plus, Justin Fields is so much more of a project than Zach Wilson. I just think it's the better pick here. Then the Dolphins at number 3. This is a pick where I realistically see them trading out of. However, this is a no-trade mock draft. Stay tuned for my trade mock draft. That could be coming as soon as next week. Probably will come next week, actually. So make sure to sub and hit the notification bell. Upload 2 times a week. But the actual Dolphins pick, if you're not going to trade out of this spot, there's 2 very obvious picks here. It's either a wide receiver or a generational tackle in Penei Sewell. But I don't think the O-line is that bad. I think Austin Jackson has tremendous upside, and I can see him becoming an all-pro tackle someday in the NFL. Right tackle sucks, and obviously Penei Sewell could fit in there, but the rest of your line is not that bad. Where I truly think you guys need to go is you need to get that number 1 receiver. And so last time I went with Devontae Smith. But after looking at it again, Devontae Smith is the kind of guy that is your number 2 or your slot. Devontae Smith isn't going to be your number 1 guy. You know who is going to be your number 1 guy? Ja'Marr Chase. I'm going to take him over Jalen Waddle because there is definitely an argument that Jalen Waddle is the best receiver in this class. If he hadn't been hurt this year, he very, very well could be number 1, and Devontae Smith wouldn't even be near this high. The dude is obviously very speedy, but again, I just think Ja'Marr Chase brings more of that number 1 guy to the table, and that's what the Dolphins need. They have great depth wide receivers and number 2s and slots. They don't have that true number 1 playmaker, and that's what Ja'Marr Chase is. Now, he didn't play this year, obviously, and I've said before, it's hard to take a guy who didn't even play over a Heisman winner, but Devontae Smith is not the number 1 playmaker. Ja'Marr Chase is. Now, Devontae Smith is a playmaker, but he's not your number 1 physical guy, and I love Ja'Marr Chase for that. So, then at the 4 pick, the Falcons. This has been the same pick for a while, and it's going to remain the same pick. Justin Fields, I just think, is such a perfect fit here. The Georgia native, first off, right? That's obviously a point to make. But also, I think he fits nicely with how their offense runs overall. And not only that, but like I just said, he has kinks he has to work out, right? There's issues about him. And obviously, you guys have Matt Ryan, though. And, Matt Ryan can simply just be there for the next 2 years or so. You shed the contract by either trading him or you can restructure it or whatever you want. But you give Justin Fields a year or 2 to learn under a really good quarterback in Matt Ryan who knows what he's doing to work out those kinks. And then once he comes out and steps on the field, he should be ready to go. He'll be a developmental project, but a lot of the time, the Falcons are more of a 7-9, 8-8 team. It's very rare that they're going to be this high in the draft and be able to get a quarterback like Justin Fields, issues or not. And being that he's a developmental project with their current situation, I think it's the best pick here. So then the Bengals, I don't even have to think about this one. Maybe if Jamar Chase was still here, I'd think about it a little bit. But God, Penei Sewell, I think the people, listen, I'm not a big Rashawn Slater fan at all. I've said constantly, I think it'd be a mistake to take him even in the top 20. I don't think he's that good. I've seen people giving him as high as number 4 to the Falcons, above Penei Sewell. And I think that's insane to me. I just think, I don't like to call any opinions dumb a lot of the times, but I can't possibly see how you think Rashawn Slater is better than Penei Sewell. It's just, look at the tape, look at the size, the athleticism, just all of it. I mean, Penei Sewell brings just this different skill set as a tackle. The dude is hyper athletic for being a tackle, first off. The dude is maybe going into the NFL already one of the best run blockers in the NFL. Not to mention his pass blocking is also just as elite. Like, this dude is just on another level. So to say Rashawn Slater is better than Sewell, I think is ridiculous. I think it's the best pick here. This guy is going to be an all-pro tackle someday. Unless some freak injury or something happens, or something just crazy happens, this dude is going to be fantastic. You can just see it in the way he plays, the tape, all of it. Then the Eagles at number 6. And pretty easy pick here. It's definitely between one of these two guys right here, Jalen Waddle or Devontae Smith. And the argument can be made here for either of these guys. Like I said, Devontae Smith isn't that true number 1 guy, and the Eagles need a true number 1 guy like that. And if you look at like Devontae or Jalen Waddle, who's very speedy, obviously, they already have a speedy guy in Deshaun Jackson. Now, obviously, he might not be with the team much longer, and he's 33 or 32 or something. So I see the argument for both of these guys. But just looking at the rest of the offense, looking at the type of quarterback Jalen Hurts is, now there's talk that they may actually try to keep Carson Wentz around and still develop him. Just looking at the current situation they're in and stuff, I think right now it's more than to get like a playmaker wide receiver that you just put the ball in their hands basically, like Devontae Smith. I think going with a guy like Jalen Waddle would just be a better pick here. Just a better fit overall for the Eagles. And again, he just brings such an elite speed. And I think he has that potential to be that true number 1 receiver that the Eagles kind of need. Then we got the Lions. In the Lions here, it's two picks for me, either Devontae Smith or Kyle Pitts. Except, I can't go with Kyle Pitts here because I express all the time that, the dude is not just a tight end. He's a wide receiver, but he still blocks as well as a tight end and has the size of a tight end. But TJ Hawkinson, I really like, overall. And I think it'd be better to get a guy like Devontae Smith anyways on the Lions. I don't think that his size is going to be like a concern in the NFL. A lot of people are concerned about that for some reason. Like, he's a smaller person, yeah, but he's truly not that small of a person, really. So I don't think that's a concern. My main thing with him is that just he's a guy that, yeah, if the ball's in his hands, he's great. I've had him going as high as number 3 to the Dolphins. He's obviously very talented after he gets the ball. The problem is, if he doesn't have the ball in his hands, he's really just not trying. Like, if the play isn't directed towards him, he's really not even trying on the play, which is not something you like. But I think that it works out here with the Lions, though, because they can make a playbook directed to run like that, where it can either basically be get the ball into Devontae's hands or just run a regular play, and you got Kenny Golladay and TJ Hawkinson who are ready to catch the ball. And it's not like Devontae Smith never makes any impact if it's not like a play directed towards him, but I'd like him to put in a bit more effort, I guess, on the plays that aren't directed towards him. If he can do that, he'll be a great receiver, especially on a good offense, honestly. There's not a lot of problems with this offense. Their main problems are defense, but I think this just makes their offense even better, and it's the best pick here, I think. Then the Panthers at number 8. And the Panthers here, I mean, it's the same pick again, but it's just such an easy pick for me because, like, I just think Trey Lance, I feel there's only one team in the NFL that he's going to succeed on, and it's the Panthers. Now, yeah, I've had him going at 8 for a while now, and some people, when I say I don't like Trey Lance as a prospect, people are like, well, why do you have him going at 8 then? It's because there's so many just red flags about him. His accuracy is very questionable at sometimes, just misses wide open throws at times. But the aspects of his game is basically hand it off or chuck it deep. What do the Panthers like to do? They like to hand it off, throw little short passes to their running backs, and chuck it deep when it's there, because they have some very fast guys. I don't see any other team really working out with Trey Lance just because of the type of quarterback he is. The only other team I can see him somewhat working with is the 49ers, and, you know, I still don't think he'd really end up working out there. So while I don't like Trey Lance as a prospect, I would never normally take him this high. Because of the fit with the Panthers, I'm going to go with this pick here. But otherwise, if I'm not the Panthers, I'm not taking Trey Lance in the first round. I'm just not. So then the Broncos at number 9. Wow. I took Mac Jones last time, and God, I was just getting freaking fired on just person after person. Mac Jones at 9, are you ridiculous? And I still wouldn't go away from that pick. I can still definitely see this pick happening. I think a lot of people don't think that this guy's going to go that high. He really could. Like, he could honestly go in like the top 10 picks. But I am going to change the pick here though, just because there is a guy on the board that I think would be a lot better of a fit here, and that's Micah Parsons. Fell all the way to 17 last time for me. And people were also kind of like, how did Micah falling to 17? That's never going to happen. I was surprised myself. That's just how it kind of fell. But looking at the type of player Micah Parsons is, Vic Fangio would love this type of a player in his defense. The dude's going to be an elite linebacker in the NFL. Really can even play safety, and that's good because Vic Fangio would definitely know how to use a linebacker at safety. And I definitely see the argument for a corner here. Obviously, their corners were beat up all year long, pretty much. I mean, especially at the end of the year, obviously. But it's just one thing I want to make clear to a lot of people is that if your team needs a corner like badly, like the Broncos do, you don't go and draft one to try to fix it. Corners take time to become good in the NFL. Jalen Ramsey is a rare finding of just a hell of a prospect in how fast he picked up the game of cornerback. Even if you look at a guy like Stephon Gilmore, yeah, he was good for the Bills, but he never even got close to the elite status he's at now until like 5 years later and after going to Bill Belichick. Jeff Okudah showed flashes this year, but overall he sucked. Not to say he won't be good, very well still could be. He was great in college, but they take time. Okay, so if the Broncos want to take a corner here, that's fine. But unless you're expecting him to be like Jalen Ramsey, which, mind you, is one of the best corners we've ever seen, it's going to take a few years at least for them to even pick up the game. Which is why I don't think it's the best choice to take a corner here, just because there's much better players on the board. And again, corners, they're not going to make an instant impact. If you want an instant impact at corner, you got to go with like signing someone or trading for someone. Trading for AJ Boye unfortunately didn't work out, but drafting anyone isn't going to fix anything. So then the Cowboys number 10. This is a situation where drafting a corner does work out for them because they have the time to be able to develop one. Now, obviously, yeah, they need corners right now. And Chidobe Awuzie, as I got corrected, was disappointing last year because they were really hoping he would step up into that number 1 spot and thrive there, obviously. But he didn't, and he can still develop in time. But this is a team where like they're much more well put together than their record showed this year. Dak Prescott went out very early with an injury. Their entire offensive line was injured. You know, you had Andy Dalton throwing to these talented receivers and stuff. Injuries just really killed this team this year, and a lackluster defense. So they're a much better team than their record shows, which is why taking a corner isn't like it is urgent, but it's not the form of the Broncos where they need a corner like right now. The Cowboys can take a year or 2 or even 3 years to like develop a guy like Patrick Surtain, who has a fantastic tool set from Alabama. And again, I think he fits better with Caleb Farley. That's why I always take him here at 10. But the Cowboys have the time to be able to develop someone like that while not needing him to perform like right now, especially since they have a guy like Awuzie that could develop as soon as this year. So then the Giants at 11, and there's 3 really tempting picks here actually, because Farley would be great on the Giants. That would be a great pick. Kwity Paye would also be fantastic because I would love him across from Leonard Williams. And Kyle Pitts, man, like you guys know I love this guy. Giants fans don't seem to like him. I've only met like one Giants fan who actually liked Kyle Pitts, which is really surprising. Another pick that's really tempting here is JOK, because he's another guy that could go a lot higher than people might think. Same with Zaven Collins. Like realistically, even he could go here. He could go above JOK even. So many different positions they can go here. But just being the fact that the defense performed really well at the end of the year, and obviously they can get better. They have holes. The defense is a lot better, and it's the reason why you guys were even making a quote push for the playoffs at like 5-9 or whatever. I think the best move here is to get Danny Dimes some receiving threats. It's been the same pick for a while, but it's just the best pick here. I mean, Kyle Pitts is just freaky athletic for his size, blocks as well as any tight end. Like I've said it before, but just this guy is basically, the catching of Odell with the physicality of a Golladay with the blocking of like a Gronkowski. Like this dude is the whole package. He makes that offense instantly so much better. He's just such a scary prospect that he's a guy that could go a lot higher than this realistically. Is arguably the best receiver in the class, and I think that's just the best choice here. Because Evan Ingram, like, again, you guys can use 2 tight end sets. Again, Pitts can play wide receiver. And Ingram really wasn't that good this year. The Pro Bowl was, I don't really take the Pro Bowl seriously anymore because, like, guys like Evan Ingram and Andreas Pete get chosen every year. Well, not every year, but they get chosen and they shouldn't have. So, Evan Ingram is not that good. Kyle Pitts is, so. Then the Niners at 12, and there's actually a few very tempting picks because there's actually a good chance that Trent Williams might not be coming back because you guys can't afford him. So in that case, you might want to take a tackle, and Christian Darrisaw's a fantastic tackle. He's definitely the best guy available, even though they have these 2 guys above him. I've taken Caleb Farley here before, although I'm not sure if corner is that big of a need anymore. If Jason Verrett can stay healthy, it looks like you guys got a new, really solid top corner, and obviously you can still take another one, but another pick that is kind of interesting here is potentially Mac Jones. Because again, I still think he can go this high, and quarterback is kind of a need for you guys, being that Jimmy G is just always hurt, and I know a lot of 49ers fans want to trade for Deshaun Watson, but that's just quite honestly not possible with your cap situations. And I mean, you can give up a ton of draft picks, but again, the cap situation is just kind of something tough to work around. So just being with the situation of Deshaun Watson and everything, I'm not going to take Mac Jones, however, just because I don't really know if he fits that well into their offense necessarily. He could. But I think the best pick here is probably, I don't want to take a tackle just like in case, Trent Williams goes. I'm still going to go with Caleb Farley. Super high floor. Didn't play this year, but the dude had a fantastic year last year. Again, just such a high floor, not that low of a ceiling either. I don't see him being that bad of a corner in the NFL. And, even if Jason Verrett stays healthy and you've got a good elite number 1 corner, you still could use a number 2, and Caleb Farley can be that number 2 or 1 because Richard Sherman's probably not going to be there next year. But, yeah, I think it's a good pick here, and it just helps fill out that already solid defense. So then the Chargers at 13. This is a really easy pick for me. It's been the same pick for a while. But Christian Darrisaw, to me, is easily the number 2 tackle in the draft. Darrisaw, just a really big, strong dude. I think he's great in the pass game, also good in the run game. And they just need to protect Justin Herbert, make sure nothing happens to him, like with Joe Burrow. And then they need some offensive line help because Brian Bulaga was good and Mike Pouncey was okay. But otherwise, they need a left tackle and 2 guards, like, really bad because Trey Turner's just dipped this year. Like, I don't even know if he was trying. So, you just need offensive line help, and there's not many other needs on the team. So then the Vikings at 14. And Vikings, this has also been the same pick for a while. It's going to stay the same pick, though. Kwity Paye is the best edge rusher in this class. It's been one of the few bright spots for Michigan this year. I also love the fit of Danielle Hunter with Kwity Paye because I really like the idea of, like, a power rusher with a finesse rusher. And Kwity Paye is a great finesse rusher, but also has an arsenal of other pass rush moves to use as well. So I really like the fit here. And, the Vikings have some great depth linemen, but they don't really have that, like, number 1 or 2 guy across from Hunter. So I think it's a good pick here. Then the Patriots at 15. And the Patriots last time took a wide receiver. And I still think that could be a pick here. But just looking at the depth of the wide receiver class, I think there's a lot of good guys you can get here in, like, the 2nd or 3rd round. And Rashad Bateman, I don't know. I'm kind of not feeling like as high as 15 anymore. I'm feeling that's a bit of a too high of a pick for him. Some drop issues is the main reason. And, Julian Edelman already drops enough passes. So here, I'm actually going to go with JOK. I think Bill Belichick would love to have a guy like JOK. He's basically Micah Parsons, just not as good, but he's still a great linebacker. This is one of the best linebacking classes I've ever seen, personally. So even Zaven Collins could go here. I just think Bill Belichick would like the guy with the tool set that JOK has. I think it's a better pick here and a better fit. And again, he's just a freaky dude, really can play safety, and he's even played a lot of slot corner. Not that they need any more corners, but I think he's a good fit here, and Belichick would love a guy like this. So then the Cardinals at 16. And the Cardinals, it's got to be a corner here. I mean, I understand Najee Harris and Travis Etienne are 2 great running backs. You guys really want a running back, bad. But, the corner room is just so horrible for the Cardinals. And I love J.C. Horn from South Carolina. I'm thinking of Eric Stokes. But yeah, J.C. Horn got a great tool set as well. Easily number 3 corner for me. Also nearly as good as Caleb Farley and Surtain, in my opinion. I think he's pretty underrated, really. And again, just for the Cardinals, the corner room is just so desolated. Patrick Peterson should already retire. This man just is not good at football anymore. Drake Kirkpatrick hasn't worked out. So you've got Byron Murphy as a potential guy, and he has shown flashes. But J.C. Horn, I think, could be a number 1 corner for you guys, and you just need one so badly. Then the Raiders at 17. And the Raiders here really just need to go with the best defensive player on the board. That's just literally, they have to go almost all defense this draft because God is just horrible. And looking at the guys available, there's a fantastic pass rusher here that is still so low on TDN's draft ranking, but it's going to go so high in Azeez Ojulari. The dude has been dominant for Georgia all year long, especially in his bowl game. I mean, the dude was just phenomenal. He's going to go a lot higher than people think. This dude would just be an instant impact player for the Raiders, instantly making them better. Just a fantastic edge rusher. And although I think Kwity Paye is better right now, I think Azeez Ojulari has the potential to be the best edge rusher from this draft class. Then the Dolphins at 18, and they took, Jamar Chase in the number 3 pick. And here there's different positions they can go here. Really, for me, it's either going to be one of these tackles or one of these running backs. Because either one of these running backs would be better than Matt Breida. That's just a fact. But I also think either Sam Cosmi and Rashawn Slater could play at the right tackle position. If they're going to go tackle here again, I think it's got to be Cosmi, though. I just can't. I don't like Slater that much, especially at 18. So looking at what's available, I still think your offensive line isn't that bad. People want to blame Breida and his, limitations at running back being on the O-line. No, I'm sorry. Matt Breida is just not a good running back. And looking at the guys available, I know there's people that would argue that Travis Etienne's the better pick here. And I've had Etienne over Harris for a while now. But Harris has finally overtaken Etienne for me. I've finally come around on him as being the number one. The dude just has it all. I mean, he's, just big in size, super powerful running back. But, for being as big and as powerful he is, I mean, there was that crazy, jump he made in the bowl game in the playoffs. That was crazy. So even for his size and power, the dude's still super athletic and still a super fast. So this guy just is the all-around package. Basically Derrick Henry, except just not as much of a monster as a human being. Still a fantastic running back, and he would be instantly better than Brietta. So then the Washington football team, that's 19. And, I see the argument for wide receiver here. Maybe a lineman, but I don't know if I'm going to get a lot of fire for this, but I think Mac Jones fits here with Alabama, with Alabama, with Washington. Now hear me out, okay? I get it. Mac Jones was surrounded with passing talent in Alabama. I know they threw a lot of bubble screens. That's because they had Devontae Smith, okay? You don't have a guy like Devontae Smith and not throw bubble screens. So yeah, obviously he had a great offensive line, and he's being thrown into not the best offense here, okay? But here's why this is the pick for me. I think Mac Jones has tremendous upside. I'm very high on him. I don't think he'll be as good as Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields or Zach Wilson for that matter. But I still think this guy can be a very solid quarterback. And just being with the guys available, I don't think Washington's going to trade for Deshaun Watson. There's not really that number one quarterback in the free agency because I don't think Dak Prescott's going to leave Dallas, right? So if Dak Prescott doesn't leave Dallas, the best quarterback in the free agent market is Jacoby Brissett. And, they have some guys like Taylor Heineke had a really good playoff game actually against the Buccaneers. Just fell a little bit short, so he looked good, but Mac Jones, I think, can develop. They're a team that, if they have that quarterback now, they'll be instant contention. And I think Mac Jones can come out and surprise some people. But even if he doesn't, the team is still so young and so talented that they can give him a year or two to develop. And, I think it's the best pick here. And being with the situation of quarterback, I don't know. I just think it's the best pick, and it's a risk worth taking, even though I think he will work out. Then the Bears at number 20, and the Bears, even if Mac Jones had fallen to them, I wouldn't have seen them taking him, because they're sticking with Mitch Trubisky, pretty clear at this point. Either that or Nick Foles. So unless they sign a guy somehow, I don't see them trading for Deshaun Watson. That's just unrealistic. The cap space isn't there. So best thing to do at this point, if you're going to try and help Mitch Trubisky out, well, what's been more of the issue? Is it the offensive line play or the wide receivers he has to throw to? You can make an argument for both, but the offensive line has not been very good for the Bears. And just being that it's very possible they could cut both of their tackles, and the rest of their offensive line isn't horrible, but it's not good. But again, being that they could cut their tackles, I think Rashawn Slater should go here. Because though I don't like him that much, he can play both left and right tackle very good. Well, I don't know about very good, but people always say he can play guard and stuff. He's never played guard all through his college career. I don't know about high school, but they're just saying that because of his short arms, so it's you can't really judge it based off of just that. However, just again, being that they could very well cut both their left and the right tackle to save some cap space, this might be the best pick here because he is although I have a lot of issues with him and I don't think he's going to ultimately work out in the NFL, this isn't exactly what I would do. This is just what I think may happen or might be the best pick. And this might be the best pick here just for certain circumstances. Cosme is definitely a candidate as well here, but I just think it's the best pick. So then at 21, we have the Colts, and maybe I would consider taking a wide receiver, but with the recent retirement of Anthony Costanzo, it's got to be a tackle here. The best tackle available on the board is easily Sam Cosmi. Could play either left or right tackle. I think he might fare better at right tackle. If that's truly the case, they can move Braden Smith, or I think that's his name, over to left tackle. But I think he can play left tackle as well, though. I think Cosmi is definitely a better tackle than Slater, but just because of the circumstances with the Bears, I took Slater. However, Cosmi is a really good tackle, though, very good in the run game, but also a great pass blocker. And again, I just think it's the easy pick here, just being with the retirement of Costanzo. So then the Titans, originally they would have liked Azeez Ojulari, but then obviously he went to the Raiders. So being that, I still think they obviously need an edge player. And looking at the guys available, to me, it's either Joseph Asai or Carlos Basham, who I think could go in the first round very well, even though they have him at 53. So looking at the guys available here, though, Joseph Asai, I think, would be the best pick here, because out of all the guys, he's definitely the most NFL ready, and they need an instant impact guy, not like a developmental project like Rousseau is. So Osai would make an instant impact for them. They need an edge player so bad. Now, obviously, their unit played very good against the Ravens. You know, the Ravens didn't have the best offensive line, and it is Lamar, but it was one game. They still need a guy across from Harold Landry, because I don't think Jadeveon Clowney is going to be there next year. I mean, he could resign, but, you know, I still don't think he's that good. And Osai literally can play, because since the Titans run a 3-4 scheme, this guy can play defensive end or outside linebacker for them. So he works basically wherever they want him to go. And I just think it's the best pick here. He's the most NFL-ready guy for sure at this point, so... Then the Jets at 23, and they took Zach Wilson with the number 2 pick. And here, you know, looking at, I think the best point situation here is to take a receiver and get some help for Zach Wilson. And I would really like Kadarius Toney or Amon-Ra St. Brown, being that those guys are very fast. But they can get either of those guys with the 34 pick. There are better players they can get at this position. So being that is, they could very well go Travis Etienne here. Great running back, obviously. Even though Frank Gore might actually be there next year, still might want to take a running back. But one position you guys need like really badly is a corner. Brian Poole was all right, and who knows if he'll even be there next year. But regardless, you guys need corners also pretty badly. And Eric Stokes has fallen a bit, but he's still a great corner from Georgia. Very strong physical guy. Is great at bumping you at the start of the play. Great hands as well. Not as high on him because he's not the fastest guy, but he is still a very solid corner, and you guys need some corner help badly. So. Then, after that, the Pittsburgh Steelers at 24, and the Steelers could very well go offensive line here. You know, they need some offensive linemen, just being with their situations, because Villanueva might not be there next year. Matt Fiedler might not be there next year. Okafor was good at the start of the season, but then kind of fell in playoff in the second half of the season. And then Marquise Pouncey, was just horrible in the playoffs. I mean, it was one game, but Jesus, it was bad. So they could very well go offensive line here. Obviously, it's a big need for them. However, a lot of people like to blame their offensive line for how well James Conner, or how well he doesn't run James Conner. But I think James Conner is just so overrated, though. I think he's just not that good of a running back. He's not the biggest of guys. And I know Etienne also isn't the biggest of guys. But for his size, Etienne brings this power to his game, almost the same with Najee Harris, if not more. But being that he's 5'11", the dude can also just snake around you like very easily. He's also very speedy and very athletic. There was a reason I took him at above Harris before. The dude's still a great running back, and I think it's the best pick here because, again, I don't think James Conner is good. Anthony McFarland, I don't think he's going to do anything. I didn't really like him from Arizona State. And Benny Snell, I mean, we haven't really seen him play, but Travis Etienne would instantly be the best running back on the team. And offensive line is definitely a need. I can definitely see it, but I just think this is the better pick here. Then the Jaguars at 25. and they took Trevor Lawrence with the first pick, obviously. And so here, I think the pick, it could be corner, but I think maybe you want to take a corner with like this pick right here, kind of like the Jets are probably going to do. So with here, I feel like you want to either get like a wide receiver, and there's some nice guys on the board, or like a corner. But again, I just said the corner should probably go around here. So being with that, they could also get a tackle here, protect Trevor Lawrence, because their offensive line is not the best. And that's actually what I'm going to go with here. And although I like Alex Leatherwood more, I don't think he's going to go over Jalen Mayfield, who has been decent for Michigan this year. I feel like he was better last year, but I don't know. I have some gripes with Jalen Mayfield. I think Alex Leatherwood's better and has a better, a higher floor, a higher ceiling than Mayfield. But I think Mayfield's more of the NFL-ready guy. And I don't know. I just like the fit here with the Jaguars better, so. Then the Browns at 26, and they get an absolute steal here in Zaven Collins, a guy that realistically could go as high as like the top 15. He's got such an elite range and set of tools. This is another linebacker that realistically can play safety. Again, he's just a fantastic linebacker, and it's a steal here for the Browns who need a linebacker. And he's not going to be like that highlight reel. Like I've said before, they don't need a guy that's going to like make the big play every now and then. This is a guy that is consistent on his run stops and pass breakups, and that's what they need. Then the Ravens, and their pick here has to be an edge player. Like it has to be. Just being that Calais Campbell got old and that caught up with him. Derek Wolfe hasn't played that great this year. And Yannick Ngakoue and Matt Judon are both on contract years. So either none or only one of them could be back next year. And I like Pernell McPhee and Tyus Bowser. They're two very underrated guys, but I don't think they're number ones. I think they're great depth and rotational guys, but I don't think they're going to like be a number one type person. One guy I do think is going to be a number one type guy is Carlos Basham. This is a dude that I think is majorly underrated in their rankings especially, but also people just don't give this guy enough credit. He's been great for Wake Forest throughout his college career. He's a very consistent pass rusher, finishes his sacks, he doesn't let him up at all. Got a range of tools, like he can bowl you over, he can go under you, he can go beside you, swim you, so many different things. The guy's very good, and I think him being at 53 is ridiculous. I see him going here, so. Then the Saints at 28, and the Saints, by the way, so long Drew Brees. He had a good career, buddy, but it's time to go, even though he hasn't announced it yet. I don't think quarterback is the pick here, especially with the guys available, but also they just would love like a linebacker, I think, because there are other needs, and this team's going to be in cap hell, like literally. I think because I just saw from the Goat House like yesterday that after Drew Brees retiring, and if they stretch his cap hit out to 2022, they'll still be negative $75 million in cap. And even if they cut like a bunch of their almost key veteran players, they'd still like at best be like negative 25 million. So just being with the players that they're probably going to end up cutting and stuff, and the people they can't keep, and all these situations, it's either a wide receiver or a linebacker, because Emmanuel Sanders and Quan Alexander are two prime guys that aren't going to be there next year, more than likely. But Nick Bolton is also another great linebacker in this class. He's a super fast, athletic dude that would fit great with his defense. I think him and Demario Davis would be a great pairing. And then if Zach Bond develops, he could also be. They could make a great trio of linebackers. But he's the best pick here, in my opinion. It's been the pick for a while, and it's going to be the same pick. But it's just such a good pick. And again, I think Nick Bolton just has a lot of upside, and he's very athletically freaky. So then the Buccaneers at 29. And Buccaneers, for me, it's still going to be an edge player. And it's still going to be Gregory Rousseau, because just being that they don't really have I mean, if you look at their defensive line, they're getting Vita Bay back next week, which is fantastic for them. That helps them out a lot. But if you look at the guys next to Vita Bay, you've got Indomitius Suh, who he's been fine, but he's getting up there in age, and they don't really have anyone else on that defensive line. So if you get a guy like Gregory Rousseau, who is a developmental project for sure, but he was fantastic for Miami last year. The big issues with Rousseau is that he doesn't finish his plays, and he just kind of makes some dumb decisions at times. It's like he goes full force into the pass game when he sees that they're running it. It's like it doesn't make much sense. So this guy has a lot of issues to work out. However, if he had, being that the Buccaneers are such a complete team, and he can learn from guys like Indomitius Suh and stuff like that, and be able to develop and work out those kinks, this guy could be a fantastic pass rusher for the Buccaneers, and I think it's the best pick here. So then the Bills. So originally I used to go with like corner here for a while because I liked a guy across from Travis White. However, Taron Johnson has been playing really good this postseason at the end of the season too. So that kind of eliminates the need. And if you now have a potential new number 2 corner, I think the best pick here is going to be to go for the offensive line. And Elijah Vera-Tucker is a guy that I would take in the top 20. I don't normally like taking guards that high, but this dude really is just that good. He's easily my favorite guard in the entire class. And the Bills could use a nice guard because they have 2 solid tackles and a good to decent, or decent to good center. But their guards are a little questionable, and Elijah Vera-Tucker would be a great addition for them. Then the Packers at 31, and this pick for a while was Chris Olave, but he actually just announced he's returning for his senior year. And they still could use, like, even though Marquez Valdez-Scantling, I can't say that name for some reason, even though he's been pretty good in the postseason so far, I mean the one game obviously, but he was good. I still think they should get like a number 2 receiver to help out Adams, and they might they probably will sign a guy in free agency, but I still love a guy like Terrace Marshall to the Packers. Jesus, I still love a guy like Terrace Marshall to the Packers. I think he fits nicely. He was great this year, even stepping up as a number 1, but I think he'd be good as well, being the number 2 to Devontae Adams. So yeah, I think it's a good pick here, and you get Aaron Rodgers some more help, even without the help, he's just been tremendous this year. I mean, this man is just amazing. With what he's had to work with, he's done fantastic. So, and with the last pick of our draft in the first round, we have the Chiefs at 32, and the Chiefs here, I feel like I'm probably going to go with the receiver, just because, Sammy Watkins probably won't be there next year, and there are other positions they can go, but the linebacker, there's no other first-round linebackers available at this point. I don't think I don't think they need a lineman that badly, and they've had a few guys step up at corner, so I think the pick here is going to be a wide receiver. And looking at the guys available, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I had him in the first round at one point, but I don't see him going in the first round anymore. And Rashad Bateman falls to the second round here, because I'm going to go with Kadarius Toney, who is a really speedy receiver, and of course that's what they love, is their speedy receivers. But he's been great for Florida this year. He's really flown up a ton of people's draft boards. Some people have him as going as high as like 18 to the Dolphins and stuff. I don't think he's that good, but I still think he's a solid receiver. And again, because he's so speedy, and that's what the Chiefs like, that's what they're going to get here. So I hope you guys enjoyed the first round. I'll have the second and third round out tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell as well. Comment down below what you like. Call me stupid, whatever. It's there for you. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see all you in the next video. Bye-bye.